Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I actually joke, but the thing I need the most is my hands.
Good evening, everybody. So nice to see you all tonight, and just on behalf of Mayor Bettis and the Board of Aldermen, I'd just like to thank you all for being here today on this really wonderful occasion. Not only, I think, for the Green family, but for the city of New Bern and our wonderful maritime history. This is as much about Thomas Green, it is about all the seafarers that left this port and traveled all around the world, bringing a piece of New Bern with them to so many destinations, and that's why we are a city of the world, not just of Eastern North Carolina. So it's really a pleasure for me, on behalf of our elected officials, to welcome you all today and thank the family for this wonderful piece of history that will carry this legacy on for many years. So
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
for asking me to be here
Certainly,
today.
thank you very much. I would like to thank a lot of people as we do this, and then we'll go right into the program. For those that have supported this event kind of from the beginning, first of all, Linda Staunch, who could not be here, gave me the initial encouragement about a year ago that, yeah, sounds like a good idea to have a nautical part of our 300th celebration. And I also would like to thank family members that have been great support in this process. My brother John B. Green III, Helen Gaskins Green, Nancy Gibbs, Grace Burnett, John Burnett, and these are the family members of Captain Thomas Green that are still in the area. We could not have done it without the city and the Board of Aldermen, and would appreciate them having a unanimous vote to let us hold this facility and put the stone in place. Also, we started then with, after Linda went to Annette Stone with City Planning and Thurman Hardison with Parks and Recreation. So we want to thank all of them for their support and help. Sherwood Norris of New Bern Memorial, the level of nautical history that went here. So we're also here today to discuss a particular event and a particular ship. One, for the main reason, is well documented, and it's an interesting case that we wanted to discuss. It's also, if you look at 300 years of history, it's right in the middle from 1710, 1690s, all the way to today. So at this point, I'd like to call on my brother, John B. Green III, to discuss the particulars regarding the Cassandra.
All right, well, thank you everyone for coming tonight. What we're doing is trying to memorialize our great-great-grandfather, Captain Thomas Green. He was a native of this area. He was born in Craven County about 1817 or 1818. He was actually about a fourth generation in Craven County, and at that point, his great-great-grandfather, a man named Farnafold Green, had first come to this area from Virginia in the 1690s. So the family had been here for a while. My father used to say that when de Graffry sailed up the river that we tied up his ship for him. But we've been here for a while. Captain Thomas Green was born, we think, along Upper Broad Creek on a farm owned by his father, Joseph Green. He was orphaned at an early age and at some point learned the trade of a mariner and went to sea. By the 1840s, he was living in New Bern and was working as a ship captain for a number of merchants in New Bern, but especially for a man named Alonzo Thomas Jerkins, who was a ship builder, a ship owner, and a ship merchant here in town. Captain Thomas Green, as far as his family, he was born about 1817, 1818. He was married in 1840 to a local woman named Anne Maria Curtis. They had 6 children. About the same time, in the 1840s, he began to sail for A.T. Jerkins. He also purchased a home, which is still standing. If you look directly across the first house that survives on Broad Street, that's his home. It was already old when he purchased it in the 1840s. It was built in the 1790s. The oldest part of the house that he would have known is the 2 front rooms on each floor. And then, of course, once we acquired it, it was remodeled and enlarged many times over the years. It stayed in our family through the 1980s. At one point, it originally faced the water, and then it was turned to face Broad Street, and we sold off a lot on either side, one to the Caraways and one to the Duffys. Captain Thomas Green sailed on a number of vessels out of New Bern. The one that we are commemorating today is the Cassandra. The Cassandra was built for a New Bern merchant named Alexander Mitchell. In 1848, it was named for Alexander Mitchell's sister-in-law, Mrs. Cassandra Ivy. It was built in New Bern by a shipbuilding firm known as Howard Pittman and Company. There's a description of its launching in the spring of 1848, describes it as being the latest design. It was, its framing was of cypress and cedar, and it was planked with Johnston County pine, as they had described it. The ship's papers, the enrollment papers, filed about the same time, describe it as a schooner, 2 masts, 80 feet long, 23 feet wide, with a depth of 8 feet 10 inches and a burden, or the amount of cargo it could carry, of 148 tons. So we're not talking about a huge ship, but it was actually about average size for what could sail in and out of New Bern. It was shallow draft enough that it could sail into the rivers and sounds of eastern North Carolina, but it could also was large enough and sturdy enough that it could make ocean voyages. It could go outside, and it made regular voyages to the West Indies. It probably sailed as well up to Norfolk and on up the coast. New Bern ships went as far as New York and New England from here, and then as far south as the West Indies. The last voyage that we know that Captain Thomas Green was on the Cassandra was one that left here on July 14th. That's why we're commemorating this day, in 1852. The New Bern newspapers used to publish a little column called the New Bern Port List, and it showed the ships arriving in New Bern, the ships clearing the port of New Bern, that is, leaving New Bern. And the last time the Cassandra is shown is July 14th, 1852. It's shown as Schooner Cassandra, Captain Green, with a load of lumber for the West Indies, and it shows the owner of the vessel.
Orange light from heaven, shadows along the shore, masts pointing accusing fingers skyward, sails furled forevermore. The schooner moves in silence, no wind, no waves, no shadows. Quietness on the noose beneath the moon. Past the point and languid Trent to slumbering village and houses on the shore. Eyes glowing from sockets of sorrow, the captain searches, sees his home. Anne, he shouts, Anne! My Anne! His voice is soundless, heard by none. A murmur sweeps across the ship. The crew, in whisper, calls to Anne. Again, no sound, and quiet prevails. Sarah! Alonza! Susan! Thomas! John! An anguished voice calls Thomas Green. The names are echoed by the crew. No sound waves made. The house is still. The town sleeps on. The weary moon goes to its rest. The world becomes a dim, lit place. The ship is gone. Cry muted by morning mist. A distant gull wings slowly toward the sea. On Widow's Walk, Anne stands alone as goal is lost to view.
That was approved by the Board of Aldermen. That reads, from this port on the 14th of July, 1852, sailed the schooner Cassandra, Thomas Green, captain, bound for the West Indies. Neither ship nor crew was ever heard from again. This marker placed 14 July 2010 by Captain Green's descendants.